Hi, and welcome to Proven, where we have a candid conversation with those individuals that are experienced, successful, and proven. And the whole goal is for them to be able to share wisdom and insight with you so that you can become proven too. My guest today is an iconic individual in the gospel music industry. She's a powerhouse. She took a love and a passion that she had for gospel music, and she has turned it into a career that spans decades. I'm telling you, you're going to be so blessed, and I pray that you just strap in your seat and that you just receive from this incredible proven woman, Carmina Barnett. So thanks, Carmina, for being here with me today. I'm so excited,
well,
girl.
You know, I'm honored to be here with you, so this is a joy for me as well.
Oh, well, I tell you what, there are some people that you just feel like and because of your presence in the community through radio, people, okay, we're going to talk about that in a second, you are just a joy. You are such a refreshing individual. You make people happy. You give people the joy of the Lord. And so I want to go on a journey with you because I want to know how you got to this place to where now you're serving as a director at KHVN radio here in the Dallas market.
Yes.
And you got some big things that are happening with your show. She's an award-winning radio host, and she really runs everything. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about that because she's multifaceted. But I'm so honored that you have made yourself available to just talk about the journey that you've taken. So share with us Carmina's journey.
Well, as you said, I am the Director of Operations at Heaven 97, which is here, 24-hour gospel station in the Metroplex, and I also am the Director of Operations for KGGR, which is a ministry station here, and KKGM, which is a Southern gospel station here.
Southern gospel.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute.
I get to cross the lines there.
I love it. Very diverse.
I'm blessed to love on both of these three stations, which are all amazing stations that impact gospel music on different levels. So I'm excited about that. It's definitely been a blessing for me. Something I never imagined I would be doing. I thought I was going to be a lawyer. That's what I went to college for.
We've kind of deviated from that path, okay? So you were going to college to be an attorney.
Yes.
Okay, so how did you land here? How did you just one day wake up and say, hey, I'm not going to achieve that goal of being an attorney, and I'm going to do this? And we might need to talk about your family, too, and the impact that had on them.
Well, of course, I was in college, and I got invited to a community station here in the Metroplex. Be on the show with someone, and they were like, oh, we love your voice, we love your voice.
Yeah, you got a great voice.
Well, I love the technical part. I love running the board and putting the show together and all that kind of stuff, so I fell in love with that aspect of it.
Okay.
So I still kept going to school. We just got a communications degree instead and made it happen for the radio, so that's where I am.
Okay, all right. So we midstream made the adjustments, ended up in communications, and it landed you where after college?
I went to the community station. I was there for several years, and then fortunately I ended up working at KGGR for a short time, and then got the opportunity at Heaven 97, and I started out one day a week. One day a week doing a small show, and graduated to this.
So operations director for 3 stations now, and an award-winning host as well. You still do radio daily and on Saturdays as well.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you balance all this? Because I think the thing of it is that it can be overwhelming, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
But when you have a love for something, what is your motivation to keep you going?
Well, I love the air shift. I love the opportunity to get on the air and encourage people. I love gospel music. It's not just, oh, I do this because I couldn't get on anything else. I love gospel music. I grew up, my dad was a church musician, so I was around music
here we go, people. Now
time.
We get a chance to see the real story. Okay, start right there.
So Dad. He was playing in church all the time. I was in the choir. I was in the youth choir, the Sunshine Band, all of that good stuff. So singing and being a part of it was me. I just can't sing.
Okay.
So when I got older, I realized, okay, I'll present people that can sing.
Oh, wow.
And do my little inspiration in the middle. So I love the air shift part. So that makes the administrative part easy for me. I can work and suffer through that to get to the air shift part. So that's how I balance it. You know, you have the hard part and the easy part, the fun part, the work part. Put it all together.
So you developed an ear to hear very early on. And so when you made that shift into communications, did your family, because sometimes when when you deviate from what your original goal is, your family thinks that you have lost your mind. I know for me, I was headed to medical school and I was doing engineering, and all of a sudden I ended up in business. Now, mostly because I was about to fail out of college and I thought I can get through business, okay? But the thing of it is that sometimes they don't understand that transition. So did you face challenges there?
Well, I was so blessed with an amazing family. And so my missionary mother was like, oh, it's ministry. She's going to be on the gospel station. That's ministry. So it was all good with her.
Okay.
And my dad had a love for music too. So he saw it as a great opportunity. And then they knew it would be an opportunity to serve the community.
Okay.
So they were good with that.
Okay. So that heart to serve and to be selfless was something that was instilled in you from an early age.
Oh, yes.
So it really was a natural progression for you to end up in the community. Now, if you were doing 1 day a week coming out of college, though, I mean, financially, you probably had a few little challenges. How long did it take for you? And what did you have to stick to recognize that I might really have a career? Because 1 day a week doesn't sound like a career starting out.
So we had to do some other things. You know, we had some little part-times here and there you had to pay to support your passion.
Uh-oh, did you hear that? Can you say that again one more time?
You have to pay, you know, a little sacrifice to support your passion. So I had to do some other things in the process, but I just knew it was going to grow to something. And I never knew to this level. I just thought, well, okay, I'll be full-time radio or that kind of thing. And so I was happy with that. Never imagining that it would grow, like I said, to this level. So
when you entered into the radio industry, did you just think that you would always like have a show and it would go syndicated and that would kind of be the pinnacle of what you would be used for in that environment? Of course, I know the community things come along with it, but I mean, you went from being a host to now, you know, director of operations with 3 stations, not 1, 3, and so you were prepared for it because, you know, you were on your journey to be an attorney. So you got that analytical mind, I can tell. But I'm telling you, that just seems like a lot to add into the basket of being in a place where you can promote music.
Okay, so I'm going to tell on myself.
Okay, go ahead.
So in the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm going to get to enjoy music, have fun at work, meet all the gospel artists that I love, get tickets to stuff.
Okay.
I had a really small list. And so I was excited with that. So then once I got in and really started learning and growing from there, then, and like I said before, the number one thing that became important to me was to inspire and encourage people. I didn't want to be just another voice on the radio. Who's next? What song is next? What commercial is happening? What is this? How can I really leave something with somebody? And not necessarily trying to be a minister, but just kind of offer inspiration or encouragement or something like that. That became a big goal of mine. And so everything else came along with it.
Okay. You know, it's interesting because I had a secular radio host who interviewed me one time and said to me, he said, you know, I know you have an impact, you know, as you grace the pulpit each week or as you use your speaking engagements.
Right.
He said, but radio gives me the opportunity to reach millions. And so I have a responsibility to communicate that right message. So I think that radio often is not seen as being as of much value as it is, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that there's so much opportunity there for you to be responsible to really reach out. And so from that perspective, you know, for you to inspire and encourage people, it's a great platform.
Yes.
And okay, but after that platform, you said, okay, there's more. I mean, how did you begin to think outside of the box and recognize that, okay, it's more to it? You said that, but it's more to it. Now, how do I fit into that? Because sometimes people have a hard time, like, fitting into something that's available to them, so they never take advantage of it. But you made that shift, okay, very effectively. Okay.
Well, it took a little struggle because initially when people would invite me out to come and speak and stuff like that, I'm not a speaker, I'm not going to that. You know, that was my initial response, but I didn't realize that that was a part of it. Okay. And even with the music and different things like that, going to not necessarily just the musicals and things like that, but different educational stuff and things like that. Initially, I was, I'm not doing that. I'm just a radio announcer. But it's the opportunity to speak into people, to encourage people, to uplift people. And especially in the time that we're in now, we need a whole bunch of that. So I had to grow to that level. I didn't have an option.
Oh, really? Okay, but let's be honest. There's some people in your market, in industry, that would not choose to do that and take that route. So there's still got to be a little more. Let's go a little deeper. What is that deeper pull again that makes Carmina say, you know what, I have to do the extra, I have to do the more?
Well, I think that's my commitment to God, because I want to impact people's lives. You know, I'm not a traditional minister such as yourself that stands in the pulpit on Sunday morning, but how can I help inspire somebody with what I do? And so I have to look at it from that aspect. It makes me happy to know that I encourage somebody, or when I'm out and I'm joking and enjoying people in the community and they're responding. That means a lot to me.
You know, it's pretty amazing. Anytime that I'm going to an event and I see your name on it, I get really excited, and I'm like, okay, this is a legitimate event. Okay, so as you've grown and developed as an individual, what are some of the keys that, because you obviously are a person of integrity, because you are very, very, very well respected in the gospel industry.
I appreciate that.
But as a person, what are the values that you would share with someone that's, you know, starting out and maybe they're saying, you know, whatever industry they're in, you know, I've got to do this. There are a lot of people that are just kind of copycatting people, and a lot of people that are not paying their dues. But what would you share with someone starting out to say, hey, in order for you to have the longevity that I've had, there's certain things that you have to do, and these are them. What has worked for you?
What worked for me was learning how to be my authentic self. Because initially in the beginning, I would listen to other people and try to mimic their show and try to do the things that they were doing. Just be you. People respect your true, authentic self, and be consistent. That's important.
Yeah.
Be consistent.
So did you ever have any struggles with really becoming your authentic self?
Growing up, children teased me because I have a really deep voice.
Okay, I can see that being a little bit of an issue when you're a kid, okay?
And they said I sounded like a boy.
Oh,
So
wow.
initially I would try to talk higher because I thought my voice was too deep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I could see that happening as a
so
kid.
young.
Yeah.
But I eventually got comfortable, and I was like, it is what it is. This is
Yeah.
what I sound like. So, and now people respond, and they say they love my voice. So it's amazing what God will do.
Oh my God. You know, it's so amazing how something that, you know, we don't see as being something that's a positive trait that we have. We don't see it, but later that actually becomes the dominant thing that God uses to elevate us to. So for all of y'all that kind of teased her, I mean, come on now.
Leave me alone.
Leave her alone. Okay, she has emerged in the market. She has a beautiful voice, and that's what people know about her. They appreciate her voice, you know, because it is soothing. I think that, you know, you being on the drive time, I love your jingle. She got a jingle, y'all. She's really proven. She
That
got
was
her
such a
own
blessing.
jingle. Carmina, okay? And but when I hear you on the radio, you know, it's usually at the end of the day during the drive time. People are frustrated. I just see God using you in so many different ways to just release peace and encouragement over so many people. I mean, you've got to just every day just get up and, I mean, I know everything's not perfect, but for the most part, the love and joy that you find in what you're doing, I'm telling you, it exudes through the station, through the radio, through the airwaves, through what we hear. Okay, now, were there any times that Carmina just felt as though she was failing in life, and how did you get through those times?
I mean, there are times when you feel like, okay, I'm just in here talking to myself. Nobody's listening. Nobody's responding. I'm getting no real feedback. But I just always knew that I wasn't doing it for me. I wasn't doing it for the accolades. I wasn't doing it for people to say, oh, Carmina did good. I just really genuinely wanted to be a blessing to other people. So if I got on there and at least one person heard me say something that, and I'm very conscious of the fact that I am on in the afternoon. So people are leaving work.
Oh, yeah.
God only
They got
knows
attitude,
what
they
dealt
mad,
with.
they in traffic. Oh my God, yeah. You got the perfect time slot to like kind of bring that calm to people, you know.
So I'm big on family. So I'm thinking, what can I do to help shift your mindset? That when you get home to your family, you're in a better, you don't want to take that mad and
Wow.
anger and bitterness
Yeah.
home. Those people at work, they're just co-workers. Your family is what's important. So let's kind of shake all that off and get home happy. So I always try to push and think of that. I haven't been blessed with my own family, but I know that's something that I would want.
You know, that is so powerful because usually when we think about broadcasting, we don't consider those types of messages that can be projected through individuals to help us through our day. So I thank you on behalf of all people that you're helping, because you're right, you know, people are so stressed now. We see it in our world, okay? And to have the privilege to be able to offer them some type of solace or peace,
Right.
or just encouragement to just kind of inspire them and shift their thoughts is such an incredible calling. It's a calling.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody's capable of doing that. Most
Yes.
folks be yelling and hollering at the end of the day. But so with that, do you think about the music that you prepare to play each day?
And I'm in a fortunate position where I actually schedule the music for the entire station. So I try to think of those things in the morning. Let's get them up, let's get them motivated. And then in the afternoon, for myself, same situation, get them motivated. You don't necessarily, I love the praise and worship music, but you have to be strategic.
Okay.
You have to be strategic
Yeah.
with it because they're
Yeah.
sitting in traffic,
Okay.
road rage. And so I try to be real conscious of that.
Okay. Wow. That's so good because, that it just takes, this industry to a whole nother level when you stop and really think about it. Because, I know I'm moved, the Bible says life and death is in the power of the tongue.
yes.
And so I'm moved by music, and sometimes I get into these places where sometimes they're dark or sometimes I'm a little down, and I can hear the lyrics to one song over and over and over again.
Yes.
And that's why I so appreciate the artists that, really give thought to their music and what they say, because sometimes that's the fuel that I need to make it through that tough time and that difficulty. Let's talk a little bit about the artists you interact with, because
Okay.
you mentioned that when you first started, that was your whole thing. Oh, I want to go to some concerts.
I want to meet
I
Kirk
some
Franklin.
tickets. Okay.
That was it.
Hey, Kirk, we love you. We need to have you on the show because you're definitely proven. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the artists. Now, as you interact with them, what are some of your experiences with them?
We are, especially now, and I say this with love. Now we have an amazing group of artists now, and to meet them and see their passion is so much more than just making a hit record.
Okay.
And so I'm so excited to be a part of the industry now to see that and see these young people that are coming through, and they're really wanting to impact lives. It is so much more than I hit the charts, and
Oh, wow.
I love it. I love
Really?
every ounce
Oh
of
my
it.
God. That speaks volumes, because I think people are beginning to really recognize that, all of us are called, I believe, to make a difference in
Yes.
the world. And there's a purpose that we are here to fulfill. And to hear that the shift in the market has been not just about being number one,
Right.
or, whatever other goals that they have, but to hear that they really are conscientious about the message that they send out and the responsibility that
Yes.
they have is great, because again, it's just another tool to help people in this world in which we live, which most of the time seems upside down.
And unfortunately, we're in a situation now where people don't necessarily go to church. They don't read the word and things like that. A lot of times, now they'll go to a concert.
Okay.
So the artists have a different responsibility now. They really have to minister. It's more than just going in there and doing all your hits. They really have to have something to say.
So do you think we need to be intentional about having more concerts in our areas because of that? People not going to church? I mean, will people really support those?
They do support them. Unfortunately, I don't know. And there's a whole bunch of studies about why people aren't going to church and things like that right
Oh,
now.
yeah, yeah.
But they,
Stay up on some of those. It's really interesting right
yes.
now. Yeah.
But what I have read is that culturally, we love to be entertained. And so we will go to a concert, we will go to a production, we'll do that fashion, and we will something maybe educational or church, where we're being taught. And so the artists, again, have really stepped it up. And not saying that they're in there preaching to the people and things like that,
Yeah.
but they're inserting the word a lot more to get those that don't go to church on a normal basis.
Oh, wow. That's so good. So as you have progressed through your career,
Okay.
what are some of the things that have really helped you to really become successful in what you do? We've talked about your integrity, your persistence, but at the same time, what are some of the things that you live by on a day-to-day basis to make certain that you are positioned at the top of your game, that you stay proven, remain proven? I know you said consistency, so you've been consistent, but I want you to reach a little bit deeper and
Okay.
just share with us maybe some personal things practically that you do, really just to make certain that you're right where God wants you.
And that's the thing with me. I really trust God. I really do. I really pray about certain decisions. I know some of it, you have to balance the business and your spirituality, but I really pray about a lot of things, and I don't make it all just business, because it is the gospel industry. I do, we have ministries with my station and things like that. So there's a lot more than just the business of it.
Okay.
And so I try to be very prayerful. I seek a lot of wisdom. Even when I'm adding things
good.
to the station, I'll reach out to different ones that have mentored me, have ministered to me, and things like that. Hey, I want to include this because it can't be all fun and games all the time.
Right.
We're in a serious situation, and so even if it's funny, it's got to have a point. It's got to still inspire. It's got to still encourage. And so I'm good about that, about making the call. Hey, I want to include this. Give me some feedback. What do you think? That kind of thing. So that's been very helpful for me.
Yeah, you know, counsel is very important in all of our lives in every aspect. And so it's good to hear that you take that into consideration. And I really believe if more people would do that, they would make less mistakes. But I know there's some times that perhaps things backfire in your face. And so typically, how would you handle those types of things? Because, you know, a lot of people hit a wall and they're like, oh, I failed. It's over. I'm done. But no doubt with your success, I mean, we have to acknowledge that we all at times fail, but at the end of the day, how do you get back up again and get back in the game?
I laugh because I have a couple of that work closely with me, and so I'll always go, okay, where did this go wrong? So I'm like, we got to go through everything because we got to see what this went wrong. So I'm big about that. Okay, let's revisit this. We got to know where we're. I always like to know what caused the problem, so then we don't have to experience that again.
Get to the root of the core.
Yes,
Okay.
so I'm the worst with that.
Not to make the same mistake, because a lot of people make the same mistakes over and over and over again, okay? So you can't do that, okay? You have to assess where you are, face your truth, and really deal with what needs to be adjusted. You know, some of us are creatures of habit, and so we want to keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and we know what that ends to. And but you can't do that, and so that's good to know. That that's something that you practice, because as simple as it seems, so many people don't, because we're kind of creatures of rote repetition.
And the girls hate it. They're like, just let it go. We're past it. And no, we got to figure out what went wrong. So I'm bad about that.
That's good. Okay, so she's got a smile on her face. She's pretty phenomenal, but if you're on her staff, you're going to have to deal with some realities of some things, you know, because, you know, life is, I believe, meant to be lived in balance, and we should be in balance in all things spiritually, and in our work environment as well. And so sometimes we lose on either side because we don't have that balance that's necessary. And so when it comes to business and assessing where you are, that's a vital ingredient. I tell people all the time, as I do, you know, entrepreneur training and business training, or talk with people about businesses, that, you know what, you have to assess your business. You have to know the state of your affairs at all times, and it sounds like you're doing that. Now, with what you're doing with 3 stations, I'm sure that can be a bit overwhelming at times. Is there anything that you do for Carmina so that you can get away from that at times? Because that's a lot. I mean, you're all over the city, you're in the community, you're managing 3 stations, you got staff, and you have radio programs. Okay, with an S. I mean, how do you find time to just be Carmina?
Well, that's one thing I'm working on, is getting a better balance, because I'm always, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to get this done. Oh, so I'm working on the balance part to try to perfect that. But I bake a lot. I bake tea cakes, and so that's my getaway from it all. Yes, totally opposite, right?
Okay. Are those available for purchase?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So you can see her information on the screen, and you can get you some tea cakes. Okay. Oh, how fun!
Yes. So that's my separation from radio. Now, of course, music is going well. I'm baking, but still, not the point.
Well, but still, you get to enjoy the environment of what is your passion, and still be able to have that time. You know, I do that too. When I get like really overwhelmed, I like cook, and my kids are like, Mom, are we having company? I'm like, no, I just started maybe frying something and decided, oh, I'll try frying some greens, some okra, you know, some zucchini. And they're like, okay, we thought we were having a festival for somebody, you know. But I find that those times are really, they decompress you. And that's what's really important, because if you keep a schedule like what you keep, and you still enjoy what you're doing, you know, it is important that we practice that self-care, and that we do the things that are required and necessary, so that we can stay at that optimum level of peak performance, always giving what it is, because sometimes it's hard, you know. I can imagine doing community events sometimes that, you know, you're coming off the station, you've had a work day, you know, and you just kind of have to, you know, get yourself motivated. What are some of the things and keys that you use to keep Carmina motivated? I got to drive to the next. Okay, who's on my drive time inspiring me right now? I've got to drive to my next engagement, and I got to motivate the crowd.
Right, right. You have to make it about the people. This weekend, for instance, of course, we celebrated Juneteenth, and so there were a lot of events here in the community, outside events in the community.
Okay.
Outside in the 100-degree.
Okay, okay. Now there we go. Okay, yeah.
But you just have to make it about the people and find the fun in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Carmina, you have inspired me and blessed me today. You know, you truly are iconic in your own right. You know, you really have, laid a foundation that really shows that you're proven. And I know that somebody today was absolutely encouraged and blessed by this incredible woman who does all of these things and who does it with the joy of the Lord, who can find that strength from within to recognize that she's called to serve the people. So we thank you so much for being here with us today. We honor you as being proven, and I'm telling you, if you want to be proven too, listen to the masters, listen to what she's saying, and apply them to your life, and trust me, you can become proven too. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.